had this idea that you drink coffee, you smoke cigarettes, and you paint.
That's David Lynch speaking to his idea of the art life. Most of us allow for coffee, maybe even cigarettes, nicotine, acceptable drugs. But what do these substances do for creativity, if anything at all? I think it's natural to search for a secret drug that will cure your procrastination and clear your creative block. Surely, after all this time, there is some drug that will just possess me to do the work. So let's find out. Working our way through an increasingly potent catalog of substances used by artists old and new to develop a field guide for the drugs that will improve your creativity. There's a French writer that would drink like 50 cups of coffee a day.
This is coffee.
The powerful substance, he reported, would give him these intense surges of creative ideas.
You know, I love writing, but I also love drinking 50 cups of coffee every single day.
And coffee has an interesting French history. The philosophers and artists of Enlightenment period salons credited coffee with a newfound hunger, only satiated by the mysteries unlocked through art and science. See, coffee wasn't widespread in Europe until the mid-17th century, as it originates in the rare cloud forests of Ethiopia. Look, this is a coffee plant. After it's dried, roasted, and steeped, it releases caffeine, blocking adenosine receptors, tricking us into a state of wakeful euphoria. This classification of drugs, stimulants, are commonplace in the arsenal of any creative mind. But cigarettes stimulate the mind in a different way. Leonard Bernstein, the most famous American conductor to ever live, was seemingly never captured without a cigarette in hand.
I don't count the number of cigarettes I smoke.
Cigarettes.
The stimulant was emblematic of the intensity and the passion he advocated were essential to life and to music.
You have to give everything you have emotionally.
As famously American as Bernstein, tobacco was appropriated during the first voyage of Christopher Columbus. Natives offered dried, rolled-up tobacco for the voyagers to smoke. They were instantly hooked. These big, flat leaves hold the coveted nicotine, which binds to acetylcholine receptors, triggering dopamine release, to tame that insipid nag for novelty, helping you focus. Stimulants don't influence any real creative insight, though. We recognize creativity as the ability to offer new, unexpected solutions. The focus and energy provided by stimulants doesn't spark any new creativity itself, does it? Instead, that tunnel vision focus helps with convergent thinking which narrows a set of presented ideas, engaging your editing brain. But I want a drug that truly inspires creativity. How can we jump to that next level of thinking that will conjure the unfamiliar ideas for that editing brain to then sort through later? We'll have to look to the next classification of drugs. Jordan Peele is accepting an award for his debut feature film.
Thank you.
Most of what you'd expect in an acceptance speech.
You know, I sat down and I would smoke a little bit of weed.
And weed.
And try and write a, mind-bending horror film, my favorite genre.
Artists have always had a close relationship with marijuana, especially musicians.
This, I'm telling you, this substance, cannabis, is a whole lot less harmful than rum punch, whiskey, nicotine, and glue, all of which are perfectly legal.
In part because of their advocacy, we've culturally accepted the recreational use of a widely illegal substance.
And I realized that there are people who are locked up for smoking less weed than I was smoking when I wrote the movie.
Many attribute their creative ability to its use, and cannabis can have a wide-ranging effect depending on its dose and its strain, but for its effects on creativity, I'm classifying it with the psychedelics. Marijuana sends THC to the brain, binding to cannabinoid receptors, reducing cognitive filters to facilitate looser associations between concepts. The loose association allows for abstract, divergent thinking which notices novel ideas sprouting from an initial seed.
Get Out is Jordan Peele's feature film directorial debut. He was inspired by films like Night of the Living Dead and Silence of the Lambs.
Jordan Peele is not the most infamous cannabis user in Hollywood.
Yes, I smoke weed all day, every single day since I was 20 years old, maybe, something like that.
20?
Yeah, and I've been very productive in that time.
Clearly that's what I've been missing.
Seth Rogen, the greatest comedic writer and actor of our generation, relies on cannabis to sustain creative productivity.
Could I not smoke weed? Probably. Would I just much rather smoke weed all day? Yes.
there's a different substance that came before the prestige, one he attributes his expanded consciousness to an early encounter with.
It's a great length to go through to do hallucinogenic mushrooms, but I was trying to expand my horizons.
He doesn't take them as much these days, but has reflected on taking shrooms in his early teens as deeply transformative, and even still influences career choices he makes to this day, describing the substance as very insightful and introspective. The image psilocybin evokes is of a very specific era, the generation that cultivated the creativity of the Beatles and Steve Jobs, both of which would be more accurately associated with LSD, but the residual effects of true psychedelics are the same.
There was something beyond sort of what you see every day. There's something going on here in life. It's the same thing that causes people to want to be poets instead of bankers. And said, hey, this is the medium that I think I can say something in, you know?
Psychedelics have lingering effects on the brain that can last months. Psilocybin works by decreasing connectivity with local, rigid networks that keep you stuck in cyclical thought patterns. Then, it introduces unacquainted regions of the brain, and those new connections can notice new ideas together. So we can manufacture short sprints of energy with stimulants, we can unlock new modalities of thought with psychedelics, yet there's still this nagging mental barrier. A common, unshakable self-doubt unresolved by the open euphoricness addressed by these other substances. Ernest Hemingway, practically synonymous with great writing, famously said, "Write drunk, edit sober." He never actually said that, the quote is misattributed to him. Instead, he would write sober in the early mornings and then sustain a long drunk for hours afterwards. Hemingway's dependence on alcohol was more a defense mechanism, a mechanical medicine for his trauma and mood disorder. To friend and fellow writer F. Scott Fitzgerald, Hemingway admitted work was the thing that would save him, if only he would do it. The substance was impeding the work. Alcohol is a depressant. It slows brain activity, flattening life to dimensionless representations of reality. It doesn't concentrate your attention or expand the boundaries of your mind. It contracts. It lures you into a false confidence. It may be occasionally useful. Relying on it is fatal. Alcohol is a weak depressant. Heroin has captured many artists with similar debilitating ailments.
One of the reasons so many great artists die of overdoses early in their lives is because they're using drugs to numb a very painful existence. The reason it's painful is the reason they become artists in the first place, their incredible sensitivity. These charged emotions, powerful when expressed in the work, are the same dark clouds that beg to be numbed to allow sleep or to get out of bed and face the day in the morning. It's a blessing and a curse.
The relief found in artistic expression, found in drugs, fuel one another.
And then when it happened, yes, yeah, but I'll never keep it up. Now they say I'm killing myself, stuff like this. But then they want to clean up. Then they say, well, look, his art's dead.
We know such transactions are dangerous. But what else is there to live for in a life of pursuit and discontent? For the painter Jean-Michel Basquiat, the relentless pressure to produce, even after achieving more acclaim than anyone's ambition, committed him to such desperate transactions. There's a clear line between the coping of Seth Rogen and the exchange made by Hemingway and Basquiat, but a line too easily crossed. It's natural to seek remedy in a life that we've involuntarily received, but to call for a substance to do everything is to forfeit your creativity entirely.
That you drink coffee, you smoke cigarettes, and you paint, and that's it. But basically, it's the incredible happiness of working and living that life.